I think we're live. Cool. Well, welcome to my first ever live podcast or whatever through Facebook Live. I'm gonna open it up, let it get rolling a little bit before I actually start. I got a dope ass intro for my podcast, so I definitely want y'all to hear that before we get to rolling. So I'll wait a few minutes and see if we can get anybody to watch. If nobody wants to watch, well, fuck them. We'll move on and start it without them. And then whenever they catch up a few episodes later, they'll look back and be like, "Damn, should have started when he started." So we'll let a few people come in. As I start, I do want to thank my sponsors, Hefner Construction. If you need any home remodeling, whether it be bathroom, we specialize in kitchens. Get a hold of Wiley. Let him know I sent you. Wiley's phone number is 618 410 4245. That's 410 4245. We specialize in beautiful kitchens. You can check out Hefner Construction on, I think it's Hefner Remodeling here on Facebook. Secondly, I wanted to give another shout out to Skin by Michaela. She is my daughter, so this is very, very biased of me, but please, she's cleaned up my skin. She's cleaned up her skin. She even cleaned up her brother's skin. So if you have bad skin or you just want to get whatever an esthetician does, just know that she does it very, very well. You can call her personally. She's putting her personal phone number out there, so don't be spamming her or I'll come beat your ass. 618-610-9218. That's 610-9218. Schedule an appointment, go see her, get prettier, and then thank me for it later, okay? Please do. She's a beautiful woman. Secondly, Rhino, you can call Rhino for all of your transportation needs, any hauling that you need. Rhino will come out there to you. You can call Ryan at 618 581 9432. I can barely read my writing. 581 9432. Rhino Enterprises, man, he travels all over the country to drop stuff off. So if you need something to go from point A to point B, Ryan will be there to help you. Give Ryan a call. Third is shameless plug for our roller hockey league. We're trying to build this league up as big as we can, and the best way to do that is to get the name out there as much as possible. I love this league. I do everything I can to help, which hasn't been a lot lately. I am a part of the board. I guess my board certificate or whatever you call it. I'm the director of community outreach. So I'm outreaching to my community to let them know to visit gatewayrollerhockey.com. If you can't skate but you want to play hockey, come play. We need guys like you. We need the best players around, but we also need like guys that just want to come out and have fun. This is a very, very great league. I'm super proud to be a part of it, and I really hope that you all at least check out the website and see what we have. We are on YouTube, so you can watch all the games on there as well. And last but not least, I am sponsored by Dubby Energy. Dubby is an energy drink that is clean, no jitters. If you want to try it out, you can go onto their website. And if you want to try them out and buy a product or whatnot, you can save 10% by putting SuperQuig in the promotional code. That's SuperQuig, W.com. Go check them out. Or W. I want to say W. WEnergydrink.com. Check them out. Great stuff. I got a full-on packet coming, so I can't wait to try them out. Just try them. If you don't like them, I probably won't either. But if I do like it, you're going to hear more from me and Debbie. I promise. So we've got a few people on. What I'm going to go ahead and do is go ahead and start this podcast and go from there. So here's my intro. Tell me what you think. Love it. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. Again, my name, Jason Quigley. You might know me as that, but I go by SuperQuig on all my handles. And this is a great podcast. Stay tuned and find out what happens on Stereotypical Podcast. Okay, so again, welcome everybody. My name's Jason. You probably know me if you're following me on Facebook. I go by SuperQuig. SuperQuig was my dad's name long time ago. So whenever Final Fantasy VII Online hit PlayStation 2, I spent $160 back in, I think that was 99, maybe 98, to buy the hardware so I could play online on PlayStation. And I have used SuperQuig as my handle ever since. I've got it on my Twitch channel. It's pretty much everywhere. So if you hear me say SuperQuig, you know that's me. I'm not like using it for any other reason other than all the other platforms. It's kind of what I go by. Here, y'all know me just as Jason, which is kind of why I wanted to start here in Facebook with this podcast. Y'all think that you know me. I would hope that you think that you know me. And if you don't, I think this will be pretty enlightening, to say the least. What I'm trying to do is explain to you why I'm doing this podcast. Quick synopsis. The Stereotypical Bullshit Podcast is we are going to call random stereotypes. We're going to call them about a random topic, and we're going to talk to these stereotypes through the lens of those stereotypes. What we're trying to do is break those stereotypes one conversation at a time. And by doing that, we won't talk about your stereotypical bullshit. It's a double entendre if you're a rap guy like me, hip hop. It's called stereotypical bullshit, but in fact, we're not going to talk about your stereotypical bullshit. We're actually going to talk to stereotypes about random shit, because who wants to hear the same narrative over and over from the same views that you hear from these stereotypes? All that's going to do is reinforce your beliefs and harden your look on these stereotypes. But if these stereotypes come across as more human, guess what that does? That makes you a better fucking person. Look, man, the more you hate, the less happy you'll be. I promise you. Okay, so if we can talk to a doctor or an addict or a black man about random stuff, you won't look at them like a doctor, a gay guy. You'll actually think of them as a human. So that's what we're trying to do. I've got roughly around 20, maybe less, probably around 15 to 20 people that are stereotypes. Typically all of them have at least 3 stereotypes. You might know this one. I've got a cop, soon to be dad, and a gym rat. So I'll spin a wheel. If it lands on one of those, I call that guy. We talk about it through the lens of that. I'll pull them off, and then we'll call somebody else and spin the wheel, and then we'll get somebody else to talk about it through the lens of that particular stereotype. And then at the end of the podcast, I'll tell you how I felt about what I learned through listening to these particular views. So at the end of it, you will actually have had 3 different views on this particular random topic, global warming, so to speak. I will explain how global warming has affected me, a cop, or I don't know, a Christian, whatever it is. And through those lenses, we'll find out that, I don't know, Christians don't believe in it, but cops do, or whatever the conversation may be. And then at the end, we'll all go through, what did we learn? Sing the I Love You song by Barney, and then dip the fuck out. That's the basis of my Stereotypical Bullshit podcast. Now, where all this is derived from is pretty selfish. I like attention. I like to talk. And I feel as if when I was growing up, I was stereotyped in so many different ways. Whether that was true or not, that's probably why I also have a mental illness. So again, as I'm growing up, I'm feeling all of these stereotypes. And I grew up as an empath. So it's very hard for me to see and or hear people get hurt. I want to do the best I can to be a good person. And I think for the most part, I've been doing a pretty good job at that. And my way to help me cope with my issues, my stereotypical mental illness, is by talking about shit. And what better way to talk about shit and make me feel better than to help others feel better, to get stories out there, to break the monotony of, if you're talking to a gym rat, why would you want to talk about the gym? You already know he's a gym rat. You know he lifts weights, or that they do these certain things. So let's ask a gym rat if he cares about politics. As a gym rat, do you see politics in the gym? You know what I'm saying? And so that's kind of what we're trying to do here. By doing that, it helps me. It helps me cope with a lot of the stuff that you'll probably find out here later as to, why I am who I am. Like I said before, the way that the podcast will work is I will be I think somebody commented, I will be the host. Yes. Well, that's a good word. I'm the host. Okay. So if I tell you we're going to talk about fishing or whatever, I would want you to know why I feel the way that I feel about fishing. I fish because of this reason, or whatnot, or whatever it may be. At least you'll know who I am. You might not know the stereotypes, but you will know who I am. So at the end of the podcast, you'll have my view, which is probably the most in-depth as far as knowing me, because you're not going to know these particular stereotypes until you find out that it's a black entrepreneur Christian or a gay student. What's the other one? Whatever. But these are all the same people. So the way that this will work is, again, column episode 4 is Entrepreneur Jay McDaniels. You don't know Jay, but you know he's an entrepreneur. The next time I talk to him, he's a Christian, but it's Jay Daniels. So as you're scrolling through, I like Jay as an entrepreneur. I didn't know that he was also a Christian, but he's also a black guy. For real, for real. So you're going to find so much in common with these people that, and what's the best part about it is these are all my friends. These are beautiful people that are taking the time out of their Sunday to give me a call, talk about a random topic, and help break some barriers. Okay. So again, this is derived from me hating myself growing up. I have been, in my eyes, I've been labeled so many different stereotypes, especially early on. I had glasses, a mullet, red hair. As I got older, I got into a lot of other things. I was a nerd. I was an athlete, grew up as an athlete, super, super competitive. I was a stoner, still am. During school, I'd go out, during lunch, I'd go smoke with the smokers, go up to Little Caesars, hang out with all the cool people, and then ride home with the football team. So I was pretty much into everything, and I still kind of am. And so because I have a deficiency in self-love, I guess is a good way to put it, is I want to feel better about myself by feeling good about other people, by explaining my side of things and you knowing exactly who I am. I think will help you realize that your neighbor has a lot more in common than you think they do with you. So as I got older, I got into a lot more things. Still competitive, became a nerd. I'm into everything, everything. If you look behind me, I probably got anywhere between $10,000 to $15,000 worth of Legos in my house. That that is because I think that I have addictive personality disorder. I find something and I do it to the fullest as much as I can. I think that I have ADHD. I can't really focus on anything other than what makes me happy. Hence, a lot of Legos. Played softball since I was 16. I think one year I played over 400 softball games in one year, and now I don't want to do that anymore. I'm really big into cornhole. I'm starting to get into darts. And all of these stereotypes that I felt over the years, they tend to stack on top of each other as I get older. I'm a huge fucking nerd. Huge nerd. What do you want to know? I read comic books. I got a great computer. I've got a 3D printer. I'm a big gamer. I stream PlayStation 5. Shit. I have probably 60 different board games in my house. Big into Magic the Gathering card game. Never played Pokemon because Magic is for adults. If you play Pokemon, I apologize. You're probably just a child. Um, no offense. Just kidding. But, I'm a dad. I've been married twice. I've been divorced twice. I'm skinny. I'm a gym rat. Shit, what else? I'm a podcaster. I'm loud. I play roller hockey. I'm a part of the board there. I was a salesman in construction. I've done it all. And so seeing other people be put down because of their stereotypes, be an empath, I feel that. And unfortunately, because of the way that my brain chemistry works, it affects me a little bit more than some other people do. So as I go through this progression of growing, I am becoming a happier person because I pull no punches anymore. I know that truths can hurt, but it makes them grow as long as these truths aren't, debilitating at all. So I will always be honest with you guys. Whatever the topic is, I'm going to tell you exactly what I feel about those things and how those feelings are derived. And by doing that, I will take a little bit of time and I will let you guys know how I was raised, what I have gone through over the course of 43 years to get me to where I am today. And I'm very, very excited to do this. Again, I do have a little bit of a selfish motivation because I know this is going to help me. I know that this is going to give me the opportunity to talk about things that you guys might not know about me. Did you know that I feel like, or I do have a mental illness, or that I've been divorced twice, or I have 4 kids with 3 baby mamas. One of my best friends is my daughter. These are these things that as you get to know me, the reason the topics and how I talk about these topics will always be derived from honesty and exactly where I come from, whether that be history or addiction or any of these things. Because again, I feel like I've been an addict. I've smoked pot since I was 18 years old, probably sooner, but because we're live, it was 18. But that has never stopped me from being a good person, I don't think. So why not talk about that? Are you not going to be my friend because I smoke pot? But you liked me when I was drinking a beer at the bar, shooting darts with you. Now I'm a stereotypical stoner and you don't like that? You didn't know that until just now. So that shouldn't change how you feel about me or the other stereotypes that I bring into this conversation. I've got about, I think, 25 weeks, 2 people per week, 2 stereotypes per week in me, talking about 50 different topics. And it ranges everything from, history, global warming, teen pregnancy. I got a list of them. In fact, let me see if I can't pull it up for you. Let's see. Here we go. Maybe. Nope. Anyway, there's a lot. And I'm I'm very, very, I don't know, excited to bring this all to you. So the reason for this podcast, or reason for this live, or it'll go on Spotify as well. The reason for this podcast is, again, let's get in depth as to who I am. Okay, so let's pretend that I'm drinking a beer and I'm just, word vomiting all over you guys as being my psychologist. Okay, so I was born in 1982. I don't like to consider myself an 80s kid because I don't remember a lot of the 80s. I remember the brightness of the 80s. My memory really kind of started when I was in the 90s, early 90s. The earliest memory that I have, and this might connect to somebody and, put two and two together. One of the earliest memories I have is sitting on my dad's lap, watching KPLR Channel 11 and listen to Ken Wilson on the TV watching the Blues. And back then it was Kelly, but I didn't really know, because what I thought my dad was wanting to be a sports commentator, a play-by-play analyst. So what my dad would do is he would turn down the TV and he would do the play-by-play. He knew all the players, he knew, and he would do play-by-play, and I'd just look at it, 2, 3, 4 years old. And from a very, very early age, I was raised to be a St. Louis fan. Cardinals, Blues, red and blue to the day that I die. As I got older, that the competitiveness that I saw from my dad and his friends is really kind of shaped who I am today. I fucking hate losing, because as an athlete, I feel like I could pick anything up and be better at it than most people. And when I'm not, it pisses me off. And so I tend to, put sights on and, do the best I can, always within, narrow vision, always trying to get better at that particular thing. So hence why I'm into darts now, or I'm into, cornhole for the last 2 years. Anyway, so that competitive spirit has been ingrained in me. Earlier memories of running into, like every softball place that you can think of within a 40-mile radius. My dad had to take me. So I was running around softball fields at a very, very early age. That competitiveness kind of made me really who I am, which is where my love of the Blues, where the love of the Cardinals come from, and how I love and then lost my St. Louis Rams. They were never the LA Rams, then the St. Louis Rams, and then the LA Rams. There was only the LA Rams and the St. Louis Rams. Okay, there's no distinction there, or I don't know, two different teams. Unfortunately, I don't have a football team anymore, but that competitiveness was there from the beginning. early age, I played everything from soccer to t-ball to football, everything. I started playing tackle football when I was around 9 or 10, and that was my favorite sport. Unfortunately, I was not able to play hockey growing up because I was raised lower middle class. My mom and dad just got by. They could barely afford, me and my two sisters stuff at the time. And so I think that's where my fixation for material items came in. Because I couldn't have material items, I wanted them more. My cousins, they had all the Ninja Turtles. They had all the video games. They had all of the stuff that you would want as a kid. So I spent the majority of my time with my cousins. You guys might know my cousins. One of them is 2 years older. The other was 2 years younger. I didn't have brothers, so those were my brothers. Actually, I have four sisters, all younger than me. I'm the oldest. My family, growing up, has gone through quite a bit of stuff. Unfortunately, our name is synonymous in the general area, and it's gone back a long, long time. Not always the best, not always bad either, but it's helped raise me who I am. I always kind of joke, and I'll probably get a lot of heat for this, especially from my family members, but I've always felt like the black sheep in a dirty white sheep family, if that makes sense. I've always done things responsibly and tried to, not fall into the traps of some of the other things that I've seen throughout my family history. Luckily, I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm successful, but I'm alive and I'm here today, thankfully. And it all starts with my family. I have a great support system, always have. And knowing that, growing up with my name, I wanted to be better than my name. And so I try to be better than my name. Once I got to high school, I was still playing football into my freshman year. And then luckily, what was it? Played Against Sports opened up their first one. I think it was O'Fallon, Missouri or something like that. And my grandma, my mom, and my dad, we got about, I don't know, about $150, and we drove over there. And I got really cheap equipment so that I could play hockey as a freshman. Loved hockey my entire life. Still think it's the greatest sport on earth. I mean, I love every sport, but hockey's my favorite. And so I was able to play hockey because of a place that was able to sell used cheap equipment. That humbled me quite a bit. If you may know, or you may know that just a couple years ago, I had opened up my own new sports equipment store, whatever. And I did that because of what Played Against Sports did for me. We're from a small, very low income area, and I wanted to give back by making it affordable for kids to play, whether that be hockey, football, whatever it may be. I was able to do that for about a year. That was probably the best thing that has ever happened in my life, was to be able to feel good about giving back to my community. Because I did. There was a lot of things that I did in that store that no matter where I'm at today, I am very, very grateful for. So once I got to high school, I wasn't necessarily forced to quit football, but I did quit football because I did feel as if my coach stereotyped me as a hockey player and didn't allow me to play the time that I felt like I deserved. At the time, I was going to another school in the area, and it was very name oriented, and so getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, having practice at 6, going to school all day, and then having football practice. Football coach didn't like that at all. And so he unfortunately broke me down to where I never wanted to play football again. So after my freshman year, I didn't play football again. The reason why I don't know, I know a lot of people, I guess. I went from first grade to fourth grade at Eastwood, fifth grade at Lewis and Clark, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth at Bethalto, started my sophomore year back at East Dalton Wood River, finished my sophomore year at Bethalto, and then came back my junior and senior year and graduated at East Dalton Wood River. So bouncing around and knowing a lot of people, that has helped me as far as, I don't know, being validated, I guess, for some of the stuff that I've gone through over the years. If it wasn't for a lot of these people, I probably wouldn't be here. I'm very lucky to have known the people, or do know the people that I know, because I did bounce around. And the reason I bounced around a lot is because my mom and dad divorced when I was 13. And it was kind of the, I don't know, that's when kind of everything split for me as a person. Now I had to be one person here, and then I had to be another person there. I was bouncing back and forth. And so I lived there, and that was hard for me. No, Aaron, not yet. Thanks for bringing that up. No, not yet, not yet. But she better not fall down the stairs. Anyway, I shouldn't have said that. Anyway, so because I've known a lot of people, I was able to grow a big community through my softball playing days, roller hockey. I coached. So we'll get into that. Anyway, I've got a big community. So as I got into high school, the insecurities that I felt about myself kind of just grew. Especially when I went to Bethalto, because Bethalto was kind of the upper class school compared to, East Dalton Wood River. And so I didn't feel as if I had the credentials, excuse me, or the money to hang out with certain people. So that materialistic view grew quite a bit, which is kind of where I wouldn't say I'm fashionable, but I do like fashion. I do think that I, try to look good everywhere I go. I'm really big into jerseys. I have probably 45 New Era hats, and the reason why I wear New Era hats is because New Era is kind of like the Gucci of hats, but it's sort of affordable. I can't go and get Gucci shoes. I would love Gucci shoes or Jordans, but the best way that I could get my materialistic kink was through hats. So at a very, very early age, loved hats. Still do. I try to wear a different hat every opportunity that I get to show them off. Jerseys. I wish that I could be a sneakerhead, but again, I would rather spend $300 on a Lego set than $300 on some Jordans or whatever. So that materialistic want came to me at a very, very young age. Well, in fact, here's a story. My mom put me in LA Gears. If you guys know what LA Gears are, they were a shoe that were kind of on the cusp of being like Nike, but just under. And they had I always had like a whole bunch of like big ass shoestrings, different colors in them and stuff. And so one day I needed a new pair of shoes. Now, I don't know how in depth I should get, but I couldn't get shoes. My mom and dad couldn't afford them for certain reasons. And because I asked for those and my mom in particular couldn't afford those things, she ended up changing her life for the better. And it's probably, you know what? My mom was a crackhead growing up. And my mom has been the absolute rock in my life since day one. My mom has never wavered on me. I can call her right now. She might feel bad that I put that out there, but my mom wouldn't be who she was if she didn't go through that. If she didn't see that her kids were struggling and her change her life around, I might not have my mom. So one thing about my past and other people's past is I really don't care. I think those are just stories that have led you to who you are today. I'm going to tell you all about everything that I've done, but if you like me today, it's because of the stuff that I've gone through. So I'm not ashamed to tell you about how that has affected me growing up, because in the long run, this is who I am. And so seeing that at a very early age, I was very aware that I cannot get into drugs. I cannot do a lot of these things because of what I had seen growing up. And so because I couldn't afford the middle class Nike and LA gears, my mom changed her life around. But that materialistic view was there. I always wanted to look good. This kid named Aaron in 5th grade had the same fucking haircut that I did. Dude, that killed me. Like, I was the only one that's supposed to have the comb over pop bun. You know what I mean? What the fuck? Still did it every day. It was a rock because I used Aquanet, but it still looked good. So as I got older, my materialistic view was things that I could afford. And so that's still kind of the way it is to this day. I don't go overboard on buying a lot of things unless it is Lego, unless it's a 3D printer that's going to make me money, something like that. But that's why I have the fashion that I have. Going into high school and being at a place that has a little bit more money and not having the money, thankfully, again, this is where all my problems come. I have never felt like I was anything less than me, ever, ever. I got along with everybody. I was with the stoners. I was with the athletes. I was with the nerds. I was with all these people because A, I was nice, and B, those were the things that I was into too. So high school was pretty enlightening to me. I found out a lot about myself through those 4 years. I bounced around a lot. Thankfully, the people that I graduated with or didn't graduate with in Bethalto became some of my best friends. I'm still invited to Bethalto's class reunions because, I spent 5 years with them people. I was actually voted class clown in my senior year with the late Tara Halford. And I don't think I've ever been surprised more in my entire life. In my entire life, I don't think I've ever been like, me? What? Me? For real? Me? And it's probably because of the Raptor. In fact, I know it was because of the Raptor. It was definitely the Raptor. I used to walk around like a dinosaur, like a raptor. Dude, fucking people loved it. Loved it. Hey, dude, do the Raptor. Do the Raptor. Do the Raptor. So that's probably why I got class clown. But anyway, that kind of puts a light on what I shouldn't feel. As I got older, I was at the end of my high school. I fell in love with this girl, and this girl ended up putting me through hell, quite a bit actually. It changed who I was in and I've kind of debated as to whether or not to bring this up, but I think that if I don't, then I'm not being as clear to you guys. I want to be as honest as possible, and being transparent is my number one thing that I want to do for you. Because if I don't give you all the information, then the views that I have on certain topics may be, you know, eroded a little bit. So anyway, this is hard. I'm going to tell you right now, this is very, very hard for me to say a lot of this stuff, because a lot of you guys don't know this stuff. In fact, I would say 99.9% of you people don't know a lot of the stuff that I'm going to bring up. But again, it's made me who I was, and I'm proud of who I became. So met this girl when I was in school. She had a kid. We were together for a little bit. She ended up telling the cops that I diddled her kid. I went through fucking probably 8 years of my life where I was fighting this accusation, knowing that it wasn't true. It ended up not being true, but they pulled their feet for so long over this stuff because the lawyers that I had, they were just, wanting me to mess up or whatever. And like, that changed the outlook that I had on trusting people. Like, after we broke up, I told her I wanted to be this dude's dad, because he didn't have a dad at the time. As an empath, being raised with a dad, my stepmom always joked, it's like, have you gotten your white picket fence yet? Because at a very, very early age, I've always wanted a very, very big family. Big house, white picket fence, very stereotypical. And my stepmom, Tammy, would always ask, because that's always what I wanted. And so I just tried to be good to this kid. Took him skating every Friday, because if he's going to boy, he was a boy, so I wanted him to play hockey. So I would take him to the ice rink and teach him how to skate. One day I couldn't talk to him because they're accusing me of all these things. And so it took a while to get that taken care of. But because of the stuff that had happened, it kind of made me, how would I say? I did not trust anybody, but then I trusted everybody. Like, it was almost the exact opposite. Like, you would think that all these things, all these bad things that people are saying about me would turn me into, somebody who just, can't trust anybody. But I think what happened was it did the exact opposite. I was so willing to let anybody and everybody in because I needed somebody to love me. I needed somebody to accept me for who I was, not to, try to kick me out of their life through the law or to tell lies about me. And as that time went on, it was very hard to, being accused of something, whether it be lying or to the extreme that I was accused of, it does something to the psyche where I will never be good enough for anybody, ever. And I think that's where the mental illness of me comes in, and being so hard on myself. So just, I've always been like that. And it was kind of reiterated and pushed home when I graduated high school. I was accused of these things. And then even after it was all dropped, and even after we signed the paper and all 8 years of my life was gone over these allegations that I'll never get back. I will never be who I could have been when I was in high school. Funny, outgoing, fashionable. All these things were kind of lost because I was lied about. I was told that I was somebody that I wasn't. And so that's where I became, I think I always was an empath, but I think that at that point, that's where I was like desperately becoming an empath, so much so that I was willing to hurt myself to help other people be happy. I was willing to get hurt because the good in people will always come through. I'll take the hurt, you take the spotlight. You take the feel good parts of what we're going through. And so as we got older and at the end of that and everything was dropped and things, you know, things kind of settled down as far as life was concerned. I met my first baby mama, had two beautiful children. Now, those two children, the first of which is my oldest, 21 daughter, best friend. She's my legacy. My son, 16, plays hockey in high school now. I got a 14-year-old daughter and a 12-year-old daughter. And early on, me and the two oldest, me and their baby mama, we you probably know her. I don't want to say her name because whatever, but she too is one of my best friends. We knew at a very early on that we wanted to do things, and we raised kids without court, without, we've had our fair share of arguments and our fair share of certain things, but me and her is kind of what I would think the stereotypical good break up, have kids relationship should be. Logan needed shoes. She paid half. I paid half. Like that's just, hey, Logan needs shoes. Okay, cool. How much? Okay, here goes. We did that with both kids. And after that, we basically decided that what we were doing isn't what we wanted to do anymore. So we split up. I was single for a little bit. Met my second baby mama. Had Mia, and then nothing real came from that particular relationship. And then I met my third baby mama, who had my youngest child. We were married for 10 plus years. Got a divorce because a narcissistic, sociopathic, pathological liar came into my life and fucked it all up. And that relationship reiterates pretty much everything that I just told you. I would probably need another podcast, a full couple hours to go through all this shit that I have gone through. And again, it may or may not be relevant, but Jama, I'm not wrong, right? That was pretty good. A narcissistic, sociopathic, pathological liar. Now, I'm no doctor, but I watch a lot of TikTok, and that was her. For real, that was her. And so as we're together, I'm starting to see that all these things that I've talked to you about before, the letting people come into my life and just do bad things to me because I was so hurt in the past that my inability to see the bad in people was just a detriment I gave up a lot of stuff to follow what I thought would be the best for me. Now, granted, it turned out that it wasn't, unfortunately, and a lot of people were hurt, especially me and a couple of my children. But at the end of the day, like, I'm here, and luckily, I was able to detox in jail over the weekend on my daughter's 21st birthday. So, Yeah, yeah, that's probably another podcast. But I was addicted to, I wouldn't necessarily say her, but I was addicted to what she was giving me. That was materialistic things. That was the want and need that I've always wanted from somebody. But on the back end, she was hurting me. And I continued to take this person back over and over because it is very much like an addiction in a sense that the highs were so fucking high that the lows just didn't matter. Like I was losing friends, I was losing cars, I was losing bills, I was losing all these things noticeably and knowingly still went back to her. And the worst part about it is I was logical. I knew what I was doing. And you can't tell me that most addicts don't know what they're doing when I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't pick up the phone and call this guy. I shouldn't pick up the phone, but you do it anyway. And because she was very good at manipulating things, she would breadcrumb her way right back in my life. I'd kick her out, and a couple days, you need milk, don't you? No, I'm fine. No, I put milk on the porch. Okay. I know you need milk. I put the milk inside the door. Okay, I know you need milk. Now the milk's in the fridge. I'll do your dishes. Now I'm coming home to all of this again because I was susceptible to being manipulated and taken advantage of because of all the stereotypes I've felt and have never actually felt that from society. My empathy made me feel as if, God damn it, she's going to change. I changed. That's what good people do. They change. If I'm better for you, you'll be great to me. That was a very, very hard lesson to learn. It took me until I was 40, literally, to ever feel like, man, we watch the news. We see all the fucking crazy people out there. But like to have it personally, personally take me and make me into something that I wasn't, and to be hurt and recognize all these things, it was hard, like just knowing. So anyway, I detoxed from her, no contact for whatever, went back to court, and I decided that I still think I need no contact with her whatsoever. So we got another 2 years added on top. And I think that's the best for me. I don't care. I'm glad that I was able to detox from that, because I use the word detox because that's exactly what it was. If you want to say anything other than the word detox, I would tell you that you'd be lying, because of the breadcrumbing, because of the just, she, again, crawling her way back in, and so cut it off, thankfully. And now here I am, a full 3 years removed from just being a fucking doormat, unknowingly doormat. I knew I was a doormat too, and so that's kind of the hardest part, is thinking that I was stupid, knowing, like feeling so fucking stupid, like why didn't I do that? But Dr. TikTok tells me that, I'm not stupid. It was a chemical imbalance, and I was in a trauma bond, and love bombing and breadcrumbing and narcissism and all of these things were just a part of everyday life, until I realized that that's exactly what was happening. And so being removed from that kind of shed light on exactly why that transpired. I was hurt and taken advantage of because of everything that has happened in my past. I try to love somebody so much that they accused me of something so heinous to get them out of their life, that it was a detriment to my well-being, my self-confidence, everything. So as I get older from all of this accusations, I tend to let anybody and everybody close to me in my life, because you show me that you love me and I will love you back. I promise you I'll love you back. Now, I might not love you every day. I might not call you every day, but my friends are still my friends. I have friends from 13 I talk to on a daily basis. Thankfully, I have those people in my life, but I don't feel I deserve those things. I've never felt like I've deserved anything other than just trying to find somebody who accepts me for who I am. Being a redheaded stepchild, glasses, nerd, stoner, athlete, dad, all of these things, that's a lot. And so by being stereotyped in my head, I have grown more empathy for other stereotypes. And the best way for me to put a little good out in the world is to talk about those people, is to shine a light on our stereotypes. And that's why I feel as if I am probably the best candidate to be the host of something like this. It's because I feel like I might not feel as much as, other stereotypes, but I have the empathy to feel like that because I have felt like that. Maybe not at that level, but I do feel as if, because I've felt like this for so long, that empathy, that's where that empathy comes from. Like, there are so many stereotypes out there that you don't think that they're actually stereotypes, or you don't think that they're actually affecting those particular stereotypes. And the reason why I say that is because I have stereotyped myself for years and years and years without, how would I say it? Without actually feeling stereotyped from society. Like, I've never felt, nobody's like, you nerd, nobody's ever felt like you're a fucking stoner, like nobody's ever made me feel bad for the stereotypes that I felt. But it's because the person that I was and the stereotypes that I was at the time was so scarred by certain accusations that they just reiterated all of these stereotypes. So as I've gotten older, I've tried to learn to be, especially here recently, like, I'm trying to feel like I'm a cool cat. I want to feel like I'm not so hard on myself all the time. And I think by talking to other people and hearing how they cope and hearing how they go through these things will help me become a better person, not just out here, but in here. And that's where the selfishness comes in. I want to feel better in here, because the people around me, if I'm not happy, they won't be happy. Like, I want you to take this however you want. But the most important person in your life is not your kids. It's not your mom and dad. It's not your husband or wife. Dude, it's you. Like, bottom line, if you're not the number one priority, nothing will follow. And so I recognized this when I was depressed, like majorly depressed. Depressed so much so that I've tried to commit suicide. Not to the point where I've hung it up, but I was walking around finding a spot. And talking about that is kind of like admitting that you have a problem. I talk about it because it makes it real. I'm all about talking to people and trying to prevent suicide in all walks of life. And surviving those things makes me want to give back, makes me want to talk about these things, because you don't hear a lot of people saying, oh yeah, I was. Most of the time it does come from an egotistical standpoint or a point making thing. Like, I don't go around saying, hey man, I almost killed myself last month, feel sorry for me. That's not it at all. I having the stuff that I have, and being mentally where I was at the time, it's very good that I can talk about these things, because I feel like if I can't talk about these things, then it's very much like, an addiction, to where, we're always an addict. I'm always depressed. I'm always depressed. Now, is the level here or is the level here? I've always got to fight that. One of my favorite songs, Bad Life by Sigrid. It's not a bad life. It's just a bad day. And I'm learning that more and more as I go. And the depression got so bad that I felt like that was the only way out. Which kind of falls into the next thing. I smoke pot, and I would consider myself, or would have considered myself, a psychonaut. I loved the acid. I loved the shrooms back in the day. In the middle of my depression, I did a heroic dose of DMT. That heroic dose of DMT saved my fucking life. One of my favorite bands of all time is Blue October. They have a song called Into the Ocean. And that is one of the happiest songs about suicide ever. And I relate to it so much because I too was drowning in an ocean. And if it wasn't for DMT was my life vest. It just appeared out of nowhere and it helped me afloat. And the reason why is because it made me realize I was fucked up. It made me realize that I'm in a very, very bad state of mind. Luckily, I was logical and understood that, okay, let's not do the whole, thing. Let's stay away from that. Let's start going to the gym. So you guys might know my buddy Wally K9. We've been to all three of the Winter Classics. Well, we went to the Winter Classic up in Minnesota. And he just let me vent. He let me talk. And that was the strength. That trip in Wally gave me the strength to start swimming. I got the life vest. I realized that I'm drowning. Okay. Wally, in that conversation, realized I got to start swimming. Being logical, I realized, man, I probably should get in the gym. I was really against pills and, all those. I just didn't think that they would work. So I started in the gym. I felt like if I can fix my body, my mind will follow. And it's very, very true. It releases endorphins. And so I was at the gym every day for 6 days a week. Every day. It took me my first goal was to lift my body weight at the time, which was, or bench press my body, 137 pounds when I started lifting. It took me about 4 months to hit, 145 bench. Did it. And then I was hardcore in it for a long time. But I was still depressed. I was still sad. Things weren't happening the way I wanted it to. So I did go to the doctor. I did get prescribed some pills. Those pills worked for about 6 months and they just made me feel weird. So I stopped it. Realized that it necessarily wasn't me. It was my environment. And then here comes the love bombing. It was a perfect storm. I'm coming out of a very, very dark, dark place, and I know what I need to fix it. And then here comes the worst thing that's ever happened to me, and it was a perfect storm. And so I, in October, um, October was hard. October was real hard. Um, I wrote a song while being fully suicidal. Like, I wrote a full fledged song because I didn't know how else to get feelings out. And then a couple months later, I put that song into AI, and it just put everything into perspective. I'm not stupid. I'm not crazy. I I do have chemical imbalances, sure. But I have so many good people around me that they're pushing my cart, man. You know what I mean? They're the driver. They're the ones, all of you people, all my friends. If it wasn't for Ricky Wyman, I'm not for sure where I would be. Ricky calls and texts me every day. Every day. You okay? How you doing? You okay? How you doing? Those are real friends, man. Those are real, real friends. And so battling depression and fighting off some super bad demons and getting to where I am today has led me to this podcast. And I really hope that by being honest and letting all these things come out about me and about these other stereotypes will really give a better perspective on life in general. You know, if you hate all the time, I don't care if it's politically, environmentally, socioeconomically, like, dude, you're doing a detriment to yourself. You're putting too much effort into something that means nothing. Absolutely nothing. You know how easy it is to hate something and how hard it is to love something? Do something hard sometimes. And this is what I'm doing. I'm I'm uh, I'm very reluctant to bring all this about, but you know how good it feels to say these things, to present these things, and to show this part of me that you might not see, or you might, hell, I don't give a fuck if you like it or not. If you don't like what I had said up to this point, deuces. you I don't need you. We don't need you. And I don't think fucking society needs you. Because in reality, the hate that is put into the world has become such a snowball that it's so hard to stop. But if we could put some speed bumps in the way, we at least slow it down. And all the stuff that I told you about myself, when I talk about these topics that will be randomly brought up on each podcast, you'll know where they come from. You'll know why why I eat, why I love ramen, why I can't eat uh Chef Boyardee ravioli, because that's the only fucking thing I can't eat Chef Boyardee. God damn, I can't say it. Chef Boyardee. There you go. Ravioli, because that was one things that we always had in the fucking house. No matter how hungry you were, we'd have ravioli. So there towards the end of the ravioli, it wasn't ravioli anymore. I would get it and I would break it all up into pieces so it wouldn't look like ravioli anymore. You know, like being who I am and where I am today will help you to realize or understand where I come from with the topics that we have. And you might not know these stereotypes personally, but you will, and you will get to know them through the lens of these stereotypes and how it's formed them as a person. And because of that, that brings me so much joy that I don't know, I'm just excited to be doing this. I talk about momentum with Ricky all the time. I got to keep the momentum going. I've got to keep building Legos brick by brick. I have to, go see Addie play volleyball. I have to, do all these things because the moment that I just let things happen would be me fighting those demons again. You're always a drunk. You're always an addict. You're always depressed, or at least you're always fighting those things. And so I know that the people that I have are so willing to talk about their stereotypes because of that same reason. They weren't ever understood. They were never listened to. They were never themselves because of those particular stereotypes. Now they are. Most of them are adults, obviously. And all those stereotypes that they grew up with has made them who they are. And there's a few bad apples. Just kidding. There's all these people. All of these people are great. All of these people have done something in the world or who are willing to give back to me and this podcast because they want to be validated for that. If you're a former addict, what better way to prove that addicts aren't always pieces of shit than by answering questions, simple conversations through the eyes of an addict, or through the eyes of a lesbian, or through the eyes of a single dad. And so by labeling these stereotypes and putting them out there, it will really help break those barriers. This was very fun for me. It was a little bit emotional, but I think that's kind of where this podcast is really going to shine. Especially for me, because I will never not be honest with you guys ever. Because if I can lie to myself, then I can lie to other people, and that will just not make me a good person. So, I will never lie to you guys to make me feel good or make me look better or whatever. I mean, shit. Within the last hour and 14 minutes, I've told you that I was a redheaded step child with depression, former, almost committed suicide, nerd, athlete, all of these things. And I really don't give a fuck what you think about me, to be honest with you. I really don't care. It's another reason why I feel like I need to do this, is because when you listen to the next podcast and you hear me explain or talk about a particular topic, you are already stereotyping me. You are going into that podcast saying, well, I didn't know, nerd or fucking smoked pot or whatever. So now I'm fighting. Now I have to fight those stereotypes that I've already given you. But by putting it out there and letting you know who I actually am, validates all the topics and the things that I say. when we start this podcast. So, with that said, I have a lot of shit lined up for us. If you look at the screen, that's probably going to be the screen that I'll be using. You'll see stereotype on the bottom right. I used an AI generated. I put in, I need a black, nerd, tatted construction worker. It's because I felt like that, give me the most stereotypical person that you can get out there. And these people, when I call them, I'm hoping that they will be in the middle of life, because I do think that gives credence to their situation. Like if I call a teacher, but she's at home at, dinner with the kids, great. That's a perfect time to have this conversation, because they look at you as mom. They know you're a teacher, but now they can hear a conversation through the lens of a teacher or whoever it may be. Maybe you're running to Walmart because you need to talk to me then. Don't make time to do those things. I want it to be real life. It gives credence to these people. If you're in the middle of doing something, that's what I want. I'm in the middle of doing something too. That's why I'm calling you. So, as we go through these, you'll get a stereotype and then their name. Stereotype and then their name. So a good example would be, let's say we have an HVAC tech named Tom, a single dad named Tom. So you listen to the first two podcasts with Tom. He's an HVAC tech and he's a single dad. I know you already have somebody in your head, you're already stereotyping an HVAC tech who's also a single dad. Well, the third podcast is you find out he's a first generation Mexican. Now, the stereotype that you have of a single dad and HVAC tech about Tom, when you find out he's also a Mexican, holy shit, Tom's not who I thought he was. But every time, as you scroll and you're trying to find more about Tom, because you like Tom talking about life through an HVAC tech or Tom talking about life through a Mexican, now you know who Tom is. You know everything about Tom. He's not a stereotype no more. He's just Tom, who's an HVAC tech, a single dad, and he likes Mexican food. Like, what the fuck? What changes? A lot, hopefully. And that's kind of what I want. That was you. I don't want to beat around bushes, because you can have, when I think of the word stereotype, first it's race, then it's economical class, and then it's everything after that. And I want to know more about a first generation Mexican. I want to know more about a single lesbian mom who is an entrepreneur, because that broadens my horizons. That allows me to take in the information that I need to lower the walls of these particular stereotypes. We all have them. It's not a bad thing. But what is the bad thing is by using those stereotypes as a detriment to others. And there's a good example. Okay, so we had this stupid fucking Super Bowl halftime show. Everybody's pissed off about it. Okay, my thing about it, for real, is when you say I'm going to do something else because of something else, you are drawing a line in the sand and making people choose. You're making people choose to be on one side or the other. Now you are politicizing let everybody watch this stupid fucking halftime show and let them decide whether or not they'll like it. But if you give the option, now the people who watch this halftime show are stereotyped. People who watches this halftime show is stereotyped. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's not draw any lines in the sand. Like, let's not give any options to let other people hate. You know, like, if you don't hate people, you won't allow lines to be drawn. To me, that's kind of where I land with this podcast. I'm not going to draw any lines. We're always going to be over here. And the reason why we're over here is because I will never make my stereotypes feel anything less than being good fucking people. So as an entrepreneur, blah, 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 blah. As a lesbian, blah, 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 blah. As a teenager, blah, blah, blah. I'll always reiterate your stereotype in the form of a question, because that's why we're here. We're not going to talk about the stereotypical bullshit with a lesbian. Why would I want to talk about lesbianism or to a lesbian about gay rights? She's a fucking lesbian. We know where she stands on it, right? I'm a lesbian and don't want gay rights. I mean, come on. We know that's the stereotypical bullshit that we're trying to avoid. But did you know that she is an entrepreneur and spends her time on the weekends fostering dogs? Shit, you might not like gay people because of whatever reason, but you do the same thing on the weekends too. Oh, so maybe lesbians aren't the evil witches that we thought they were. You know what I mean? That's the point. That's the point. So me being every stereotype in the history of stereotypes is very well adapted, I guess, to be able to talk about all these, all these feelings that are brought up when being labeled as a stereotype. So that's it. I've cried, I've laughed, I've smiled, I've frowned, I've introduced, I've done a lot of things in this podcast, and I'm very, very proud of. So now you go back and you listen to the first podcast, you'll figure out what the podcast is about a little bit more in depth. Then this one is, now you know me. Now you know where I come from. Now you know why I feel the way I feel about ancient history, or how I feel about food, or any of the other 50 topics I have. And so with that said, I appreciate everybody that took the time out to watch me on Facebook Live or come back to Spotify to catch up on the second episode. I'm really hoping that the third episode will be with this two stereotypes. Now, I probably won't go live with the podcasts only because I don't want. Now, I will never edit anything out as far as the conversations and stuff that we're having, but I don't want to try to call certain people and then them not be able to answer. So I might have to spin the wheel again to get a hold of another different stereotype. So, also, if at any point in time you feel like you were stereotyped and you feel like you want to be a part of the podcast, just know that if you want to be my felon or my gay guy, that's what we're pushing into. They'll know you as those stereotypes. Hopefully they won't label you those stereotypes anymore, but that's kind of what we're going for. So like, I need a biker. I'd love to have a biker, like a, leather biker. What other stereotypes do bikers have? Those are the conversations that I would love to have. So if you feel like you're a stereotype and you want to kind of talk and felt like that send me a message, man. I'll put you on the back end and we'll get you added. I've got some lovely people who are going to lean into these stereotypes so that we can, break them. So if you have any questions or you feel like you can be a stereotype, by all means, get a hold of me. If you want to be a part of it, I would love to have you. The more people we have, the better views we can get. Not like views as far as, podcasts or whatnot, but the more open we are to, breaking these walls of stereotypes. So again, I appreciate y'all listening to me. Please go back to the beginning, listen to my sponsors. None of these people are paying me to put them out there. These are my friends, my daughter, whoever, things that I love to do, and I want to help them out. So if you have things similar, let me know, shoot me a message. I'll get you put up on the screen as well. Outside of that, man, I appreciate it more than you know. I really cannot wait to have some good conversations. They're going to be fun. So again, Sundays is kind of when I will record them, get them together, and then come Monday, I'm kind of hoping that I'd have it out on Spotify. I'll try to get it out on some other platforms, but usually Spotify is probably where I'll put it. It's super easy to get on there. Probably put it on YouTube now too, since I'm doing the visual as well. So again, man, I really do appreciate it. I won't apologize for crying. I won't apologize for laughing, and I won't apologize for anything, because I am unapologetically me, and you all need to do the fucking same. So let's break these stereotypes down one conversation at a time about regular shit and not about stereotypical bullshit. Right? So I need a tagline. I use Stay Frosty, friends, for when I end a hockey commentary. So I think what I might do on the spot, I will say, until next time's friends, stereotype your bullshit and leave it at the curb. We'll work on it. Peace out!
Oh, bullshit! Stereotypical bullshit is on the rise. Oh, sit next to me, let's spend the time. Oh,
This is such a great song too.
break the walls.
Let's surround the song.
Put a middle finger in the sky. Stereotypical bullshit.
Until next time, friends. Ooh, stay salty. Well, yeah, that's a good one. Until next time, friends. Stay salty. Deuces.